to pig. Oh my gosh. Uh-huh. Where are we? This is not plutonium. Oh. Buongiorno amici, ciao a tutti, sono BC and welcome back to somewhere. I don't know where. Oh, Amici, the last time we were together, we were on the Diamond Society server, and we built our interdimensional portal to try and head off back to our homeland in Plutonium for a little bit, and it appears we're not there. There were a lot of pigs around that other portal. Doing the rave, doing the rave. There were a lot of pigs around that portal, but it was definitely in the mountains, not in a swamp. So I'm not sure where we are, but welcome back, Amici. Hey, and let me start out by first saying thank you very, very much. You guys killed it on that last episode. I hope you enjoyed that wither fight, and I think you did. Leaving tons of likes. You blew up that like button, and the views were terrific. Gosh, pig, stop being pushy. Doing the dance, doing the dance. Boots and guts, boots and guts, boots and guts, boots and guts. But thanks. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. So now, on to business. That was kind of dramatic. Where are we? That is an excellent question. And we need to explore to find out where we're at and what adventure we're now in and what's going on. And get away from these freaking crazy rave pigs before they bust out the glow sticks and the other party favors. And I see something. I see something in the distance. Right there. We have nothing on us, but it looked like we were... Yeah, we're wearing boots, so that's good. Oh, and they got Death Strider. That's even better. Okay, Amici. New adventure. New adventure. What does it mean? What does it all mean? What is the meaning of everything? Wait a second. This... doesn't this look familiar to you? It looks familiar to me. What is this? Conceptually, it looks like... You're saying it in your mind. I'm saying it in my mind. It looks like where we just fought the Wither. But, like, not in the desert. Interesting. Very strange. It's like an alternate universe almost. I mean, it's like Diamond Society, but not Diamond Society? I don't know. Let's head off onto this desert. Which coordinate are we going? Yeah, we're kind of headed down towards 0, so maybe we'll kind of run into spawn or something. And it looks like I see another structure out there in the distance, so let's go check that out. Oh, and as I've gotten nearer, the health bar of a Wither has just showed up. Oh, crap. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's not doing anything, though. What is this? This looks like... Whoa. Doesn't this look like my last thumbnail? Don't fret, BC. The Wither boss is harmless. Push button to continue. Oh, game mode is now creative. Oh. Oh my. Well, let's keep on going. Let's see what we can find now that we can fly. And I see all kinds of things. I see all kinds of things. Oh. Oh yes, Amici. The Space Needle. The mission. And many other various builds. We are indeed in my creative world. Somewhere I've come so many times. Somewhere where I've spent so many hours. But you, Amici, you've never seen it. And so I want to take this time to show you what it looks like. But it seems like we're kind of starting at the end of the creative world. You know, if we think about your creative world like in a timeline, we're very much at the end of that timeline, at the most recent hour. So let's back up for a minute and let's go back to where it all began. So meet you back when I first started playing Minecraft. I definitely did not use a creative world. But you know what? Gosh, since we're in here, toggle downfall. Oh, and it just did. That's great for timing. So I didn't always use a creative world. And I just kind of built things as I felt, you know, just kind of built them from the fly. And there came a project that was pretty big. It was pretty massive. One of the biggest projects I have ever done. And Amici, it was built, I think, well before you ever saw my world and our time together in Plutonium. It was the pirate ship. And that's when I decided that building in creative was a must. I had to figure it out. I had to know the dimensions. I had to practice. And I had to know what I was doing before I could start making those cool time lapses that you see me make all the time. And that's imperative. You know, practice makes perfect. So, the first build that we want to show off is indeed the pirate ship. Now, a lot has been done on this pirate ship, and oh gosh, look at these cool things, right? So some pianos. These are some piano designs I remember working on that were going to go inside the pirate ship. And we ended up using this piano design right here, actually, in the galley area. So, as I built the pirate ship, I worked on all kinds of different designs and all different kinds of concepts. And the one thing that I found that became a must as I was working on the ship was that I would build something in creative. And Amici, you know I love doing my time lapses, right? So doing time lapses is great, but what often happens is in the course of the time lapse, there's some additional inspiration that just kind of comes in your brain. Like you kind of figure things out a different way, or you see something that maybe you liked a little bit more, or for you know, sake of argument, the fact that I'm basically working off of screenshots that I've got on my second monitor. Sometimes I just can't count the blocks well enough during a screenshot, from a screenshot, to really know what I'm supposed to build. And since I'm doing it in a time lapse, I'm really kind of doing a speed build, like a one-take speed build. And I can't always just stop and correct and keep going back, and I just keep pushing through. And what happens is I end up with something that sometimes has variance from the creative building process. And so what I'll do is I'll go then into my world download, make a copy of that, and bring it back into the creative world. And that gives me a perfect frame of reference to start building and continuing on the next set of creative test builds. So that way when I go back into the real world again and do it in survival, then I end up with something that that is closer to the truth. And a lot of that is going to be so much true. See, look, like part of this ship's not even here. So I tested it all out on this side of the ship, didn't even build this side of the ship. So you're going to see that a lot in this world, especially with the mission, the Space Needle, things like that, where there were times where, specifically with interior design, I needed exact block measurements to know like what I planned to do for interior design. When I did my creative world, I chose to do a real world, and that's to say not a super flat world, because I wanted the different biomes. I wanted the ability to build things in different biomes because, yes, indeed, the colors do change. Take, for instance, this grass, okay? Let's come down and grab this grass real quick. So, right here, we're in a jungle biome. Here, we're in a swamp biome. Look, bright green, dark green. So it matters. It really, really matters. So working in the different biomes is important because, you could get different inspiration based on the colors and the terrain. And it also gives me a kind of a close model as to where I am and working on uneven terrain here. So here is where the design I worked out in order to get the faces of the different characters of Plutonium. You got myself, Creepahugga, Anonymous, Lilycat, and this was built way back before Thurby started coming online and Carl Heisen. So these are the original 4 of Plutonium. And if you didn't know, that's me and my 3 kids. So very, very cool. But this is the walls of the King of the Ladder game. And in fact, this is actually smaller in diameter or circumference, or whatever you want to say, than the actual place. So just looking around, you can see some other things. Here's the sheep farm. This is where I worked it out from the get-go. And look, you can see it's not even complete. I only built about half of it. And then we ended up using the top half here to do our pirate flag. And this was our model for the pirate flag on top of the ship, which I think turned out really sweet. I'm always happy with this build. It's just something that kind of worked out better than I could have possibly hoped for or imagined. For Lilycat's birthday, I think it was, we built her a little tiny Lilycat in the spawn world, and it's based off of actually one of her stuffed animals. She has a little Webkinz black cat, and this is supposed to represent Lilycat, her little Webkinz Lilycat, and that's where she also has her little cat skin and her name. So yeah, this is Lilycat, and we eventually in the real world built her base down underneath right there. This is just the facade of the pumpkin farm that I built real quick, just to kind of get the idea of the pixel art required. Inside is just a mock-up of the actual size of the pumpkin farm. And yeah, I don't know what design that is. Some other weird design. But here's the eventual pumpkin farm right here outside of its clothes. And this design works on the principle of completed circuits. So once a pumpkin grows right here and right here, it completes a circuit. Now you can see this one's already completed. So if I just put a pumpkin right here, completes the circuit, sets the timer off, causes the clock to run, and the harvest happens. So yeah. So here's the build for the rare item machine inside Plutonium. And then underground is where all the machines exist to do the sorting payment system for the rare items. And I use that same exact payment system, only way, way more complex and, or not more complex, more compact, way more compact for the rare booty shop inside the Diamond Society server. So that was really cool. Weird pixel art of BC with no head. Okay, so this is a cool design or cool build that I did for the Element SMP server that I momentarily played on. And if we go inside, yeah, it's kind of like a little cathedral type room here. And on top of these pillars were the 4 different elements. We got water, earth, and then there was fire and wind. And all that stuff was represented by different items. I used this room. I built this entire room just to make a little, I think, 10 to 15 second intro video for that server series. But that SMP died shortly after it began. I think the SMP was only, gosh, I think that server was only active for maybe 6 days and it died. So it's really unfortunate, but I know those guys are off doing bigger and better things now. So yeah, so be it. Over here, we got a lot more redstone stuff going on. This is the interchange, the minecart, the selectable minecart interchange system for the plutonium nether. Over here, using, I believe it's Tango Tech's design for a tree farm slash crusher, leaf crusher. And this is very much like the final design that I ended up using in Plutonium. This was the original concept design for the building exchange in Plutonium. And the eventual design for the building exchange was... I think there's a single wall somewhere around here that ended up being the final design. Huh. Maybe I tore it all down. I don't see it. But anyway, this was the original mock-up for the building exchange. As you know, it is nothing like this now. So I think this was the original mock-up, or this was the original test platform for When Pigs Fly. I think it's Pig Bombs and Sheep Shears. I think episode, pretty close to the beginning of our series. Maybe episode 9-ish, something like that. And just wanted to test killing a pig, riding it off the thing, and making sure I didn't die, but the pig did. Vintage Beef in Minecraft Season 4, I think it was, had a contest about designing his banner. And this was back when banners were kind of a brand new thing. So this was a design that I made for Vintage Beef. And in order to kind of show off my design a little bit more than the average person, I actually built a small mock-up real quick of the facade of his house that he was working on at the time and put the banner on there. Took a picture and sent a tweet, but alas, he went with something else. And so be it. I mean, what is this? A smoky piece of brown squirt? As Slipgator would say. The original Plutonium Elemental Temple, well, not Elemental Temple, the Nether Temple, one of my favorite builds I've ever made. I think I just love the use of colors, the use of depth. This was probably the first build where I used so much depth. I kind of fell in love with the concept of doing it. And our final design is definitely different than this. I think to add more depth, we put the obsidian behind these little stone joints right there. And but this is really kind of where I started getting my inspiration on depth, use of different stair blocks, and overlapping designs. And I think it worked out really, really well. But up here on the hill is the original mock-up for a potential like courthouse or some sort of some sort of spawn legal building or meeting hall or something of that nature. I don't know. But basically it's the elemental symbol for plutonium. And inside I built this this little mock-up floor that's a radiation symbol, which all in all I think it's pretty neat, but it just did not fit in the world. And it's something that had to go. It couldn't come into the world. And this little area right here, this little room right here is actually the room where, let's see, maybe you guys will recognize if I do this. Oh yes. So this little room I built just to film the outro to all my episodes. I had to stand far enough away and use my field of view to zoom into the axe so that I wouldn't pick it up, or that BC wouldn't pick it up. So, yeah, it's fun to like build things just for like those small little, little clips and whatnot. I know a lot of people use like animation programs and stuff to do that kind of stuff. Nope, I build it in Minecraft and film it for real, man. But all good, all fun. One of my favorite builds of all time, and it's still a work in progress. There is still so much that we need to do on the Nether Hub, but this is it. This is where it all began. This is the original mock-up of the Nether Hub that exists in Plutonium. And Amici, if you have not seen the Nether Hub, you need to go check it out. I guarantee you'll love it. It'll blow your mind. It still blows my mind going inside there. But this is the original mock-up. I built it over water so that I could get a nice deep blue color because that was kind of the original concept. And there's a lot of different bricks all over the place just to count out numbers and spacing and whatnot. But yeah, all of these designs should look very, very familiar if you're familiar with the Nether Hub. But here's kind of where it all just started coming together. And if you could see here, so we actually built everything on the ground floor inside our nether hub in plutonium, but the original concept was going to be a multi-tiered nether hub. And it might end up still going that way. But here's the second floor. And you can see the second floor was intended, as far as the mock-up is concerned, to go somewhere with a guardian farm and to go somewhere with ice. But yeah, this is the second floor. And will this floor ever come to fruition? I don't know. I really don't. But for right now, yeah, I think we're just going to keep sticking with what we've got, because we still have many, many more tunnels to utilize before we need to start expanding onto the upper deck. And this is really kind of where I've been doing a lot of work for Diamond Society. You could see the bonsai tree store, my original concept build. Again, built it here, took a bunch of screenshots, and then built it for real on the server. And it's pretty much brick for brick the exact same thing. Here's the rare booty shop. More or less the same design. A few things are different. Here I had the item coming up through the floor, I think. Paying here and it comes up through the floor. I decided that may end up causing problems because the item could shoot in behind this glass. So we ended up going with a slightly different design. And then we got Bert. Bert, are you over here? I don't even know if this mock works. Yep, sure enough. So yeah, that's the mock-up of the food truck, the gut truck that exists on the Diamond Society server. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. All kinds of goodies, all day, every day. The original mocks that I made for the golf course greens, sand traps, tee boxes, and this is where I kind of first started working out the idea, like what was it going to look like? What were the tee boxes going to look like? How were I going to mark the actual tee spots? What colors was I going to use? And I needed to make sure I used it in a biome that was conducive of not altering, things too much. Yeah, eventually worked out this design for the greens, worked out this design for the holes, the sand traps, and I think it all worked great. So once I got the golf course laid out as far as how I wanted to build it, the next thing I needed to work on was the actual country club. Now, over here you see the country club, and it's this is the actual finished version that sits in plutonium today. Again, this is one of those cases where once I was done, I had to import it in. And you can see the obvious lines where it's been imported. But again, Michi, there is a very good reason for that. I wish I could show you all the different steps and all the different stages, but I can't. Originally, this thing was a skeleton where just the face was built, because I spent so much time working the brickwork of this build in order to get these windows and these lines and this depth. So much stuff went into working on this brickwork, and it was just a hodgepodge of pieces. When it was all said and done, I realized that my mock for this build was actually 2 blocks shorter in this direction, actually coming out this direction here. It was 2 blocks shorter, and it threw so much timing off when it came to trying to match up my screenshots of the windows and this turret tower against the actual building in plutonium. And eventually I figured out that that's what the difference was. So after all that was said and done, and you could see, actually look, here's some original mocks of how did I want to work it out. Here's a design I worked out with a potential chimney. You could see the window design that I kind of had worked out as a mock. Let's see. Okay, here's another design using wool. And thin windows. A thinner chimney. I think this was a thinner overall, like less wide design. Working on roof designs. You can see over here, these are different turret designs, tower designs, and then also working out windows in the turrets, in the towers. And eventually, I ended up going with those slit windows because these just, I don't know, it just didn't work for me, Amici. It just didn't work. It looked too much like a blast hole in the side of the turret. So eventually, when it was all said and done, I had to bring the actual factual copy of the Plutonium Clubhouse into the creative world here. And why? Why did I have to do that? Because I needed the exact dimensions of this place to start working out the interior. So that's right. So here's the original mock of the interior that you see in the Diamond Society, or not Diamond Society, Plutonium. And you'll notice it's totally different. Like, this is very bare bones, working out concepts rather than design. Gosh, did this couch ever actually make it? I don't know if this couch exists in Plutonium. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So you can see a lot of concept, and so what now I have is I have the exact dimensions for what I need to actually work out in here for the remainder of the rooms as we continue to build out this this country club. So very, very important. You can see I've already started working on different wall designs and wallpapers for different rooms. And yeah, not going to talk any too much more about that. Here's a build that I did. I think I did it in a small mini video, and it was supposed to be a video response to a Minecracker named Jay Sano. And Jay Sano was working on an emergency room in his world. And so I built this as like a little recovery room, complete with like, this is supposed to be like maybe like an IV bag. You've got your emergency call thing, a bed, the dividers that go around each patient, like the little curtains, and then each patient has a little chest. So I set this to him, and you know what? He never mentioned it. He never used it, but I like the way it ended up. And yep. Out here is where the desert blossomed. The desert blossomed in the form of our village that took the shape of different buildings, took an NPC village and just modified different buildings throughout it. And this is where we did a lot of the mock buildings, just kind of toying with colors and overall shape and design. This was a 2-layer design. I think we eventually used this for the chapel building. And this is a 1-level design that I think was actually used for my house in that area, along with the well and the portal design, which I think turned out pretty sweet and pretty fine. We have the original concepts for Boom Baby. I think this was the very first concept, and I think this was based a lot around Vintage Beef's building, the way he was trying to design it. And then this is the design that I eventually came up with. And the final design that was built on camera in Plutonium is still slightly more different than this. We ended up putting the stairs on the same side instead of stairs on each side. And that way it allowed to have a kind of like a joint recovery area for both teams. So, and then this is actually where I built the concept for the Lost Wheel. This is the wheel that we pushed that eventually sent us through space and time, that took us into the Captive Minecraft 2 and 3. And this is my original mock-up for the cave before I went into Plutonium to build it. And you'll see here that this is the desert mission. This is not the final version. This is one of those instances where I have not gone and re-imported the final version back into the Creative Zone, because I think I built out enough of it that I wanted to just do the rest of it straight on camera. So I built half of the roof. I didn't really need to build the other half. And then you'll see I never did the interior of the mission in creative first. So we did all of that in survival out of our head. Sometimes it's fun to be able to fly around and get the perspective, but in those rooms, like when I'm building a building, I love to be able to like build, and then fly back and get the perspective and see what it looks like. But when I'm building a room, when I'm doing an interior, sometimes just being down on the ground in the interior really helps you kind of work out a better feel for the space and the perspective and where the placement of things needs to be. It can be a pain in the butt, but for me, it works. So the Space Needle, man, this is a series of mocks and not. So again, as I have built this Space Needle in the Diamond Society, here in Creative, I built, I think, like just one string of half of a leg, just to know like how many like like how many blocks, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, before I needed to indent one and then go up and then indent one. And I think I tried 4 or 5 iterations before I reached my point. So I came up here, I set an actual point in space saying I need to get to this point exactly where I'm not going in anymore, and that's what I eventually worked out. So once I got the final frame of 4 legs, then I asked Lurgan on the Diamond Society for a backup of the server, and that way I was able to bring the legs in here and use it to start mocking up the next piece. And then once I finished that, I brought it in and used it to start mocking up the next piece and the next piece. And eventually, you could see that the restroom, the bottom observation deck is not finished. So this last mock is prior to that building and prior to finishing the top. So here is probably the most recent thing that we've built, except for the wither. And this is where I was mocking out the arms and how I wanted to work out the transitions, how I wanted to work out the roof line, what kind of curvature we wanted to use. And actually, we ended up not using this exact design in our final build, but it's pretty close to the way it is now. And I just got another backup from Lurgan, and I plan on bringing the final finished product of the Space Needle into this world. I might actually set it next to this one, I'm not sure, but I'll probably just stamp over this one. And that way we can know the exact dimensions of this whole upper area that we need to work on, and we'll have the exact dimensions of this bottom area to kind of flush out any kind of interior or anything else that we need to work on. So yeah. And let's see, almost last and not least, here is the design for the Nether portal tower. The original concept is right here, actually, where I wanted to take, and I don't know if I can explain this in words. If we look at it from the top, maybe you could see what I was trying to do. But it was basically going to be a cube that rotated around on itself. And you can see how this is the focal point, and this side is rotating up and back, and this side is rotating up and back this way. Almost like a helicopter blade spinning, right? But imagine a helicopter blade spinning and it's rising up at the same time. And so the concept originally was for the tower to just keep coming up in a twisting fashion. And even though I'm building all of this glass, it was only the outside pieces that I was concerned with. To be honest, this design was just epically failing. It was just way too hard to work out this twist. Even in creative, I just couldn't get it. And I eventually started thinking, okay, well, what if I work like a helix design and then fill it in with glass, wrapped around an octagon design of a portal? And that's where we finally came up with this design, which is the design we used in the Diamond Society server and built in a time lapse. So you could see I only worked out, what, maybe one iteration of half a helix. And from there, all the rest of this was done in real time, in a speed build, in one go, on the Diamond Society server in a time lapse. So very proud of, so it kind of goes to show you that, you know, you don't have to build a whole thing in creative. Just building enough to give you an idea of where you're starting and where you're going can be all that you need to get yourself going. And Amici, I think that is basically the end of our tour here. There's a few more things here and there scattered throughout the land. Really nothing more to speak of. I think that's about it. This is my life, my creative life while playing Minecraft. Several years of work are in this world here, all contributing to, you know, this is like my sketch pad. And all of this has contributed to a video in some way, shape, or form that has then been consumed by you, enjoyed, and brought me a lot of joy. So thanks for your continued support and your feedback, because you're part of the inspiration why I come in here and I try to test out my ideas and push my my mental faculties to the limit to see what I could build, and then try to go do it for real. And I love doing it in speed. It's like a challenge to me, like to come in here and build it one time already, and then take nothing but screenshots and put all those screenshots up in a bunch of tiny little windows, and then to build it for real under the gun while the clock is running and the camera's rolling. It's like an extra sick little challenge, and I love it. Here's one other building that we didn't talk about, and this is something that someday will come along. Talking a lot about depth, use of color, and sticking to one material. You could see there's a lot of detail going on in this build. And if you can't tell what it is, someday I really want to build an old Wild West saloon. And this is the amount of detail that I plan on putting it in. And this is just the porch. So I'm looking forward to coming around and getting to that build someday. But yeah, look forward to that project at some point in time. But Amici, I think that is about all the time that we have. This video has definitely probably been pretty long, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I wanted to kind of just take a moment to kind of show you around and talk about things. And if there's one thing I didn't really talk about, it's that I think it's important to know where you've been, to understand where you're going. And Amici, there are a lot of cool things about to change in Minecraft. We talked about it before with 1.9. It's on the horizon. It's coming. I thought it would be out by this weekend, but it looks like it's going to be out very, very soon. And with that said, I'm looking forward to the changes. I'm looking forward to the different building. The survival aspect of Minecraft is going to be incredible. I mean, I love building, but I play in ultra hardcore because I like the challenge of the survival aspect of the game. And now with the differences in the PvP, PvE, weapons usage, and all that stuff, oh my gosh. Look out for a zombie horde, man, I'm telling you. But yeah, it's important to know, and it's important to understand where you've been to know where you're going. And Amici, hopefully this time we're going to plutonium. So without any further ado, I'm going to drop on down into here. Oh. We're going to put ourselves into the light and hopefully end up in plutonium. Preferably in 1.9. We'll see. But until then, dancing pig, boots and guts, boots and guts. Oh man, these pigs are awesome. All right. Farewell, ciao a tutti, aloha, and bye-bye.